Hey guys, Shadowz here, welcome back to another Gears of War Ultimate Edition video. Today we're going to be talking about basics for beginners, tips and tricks aimed at new players to the Gears of War franchise when it comes to playing in the Ultimate Edition's multiplayer. With that said, I'd like to say welcome to Gears of War if you are fairly new to the franchise. To briefly describe what Gears of War is, the franchise is a third-person cover-based shooter which plays like no other games out there, involving skill-based multiplayer, lots of teamwork and is a ton of fun. I would hope you give Gears of War a good try and take a liking to it. Starting off with the first tips and tricks I have for you, which I've kindly touched on already, is learning to use cover within Gears of War. Being a cover-based shooter, the cover system has a huge important role in multiplayer as it allows you to use your surroundings and the environment to your advantage. To take cover, you simply point the left analog stick to a certain piece of cover and press the A button. Taking cover in certain situations will allow you to survive, but also pop out with the left trigger to aim and fire bullets upon enemies coming at you. You can also use cover by just standing behind it, which will allow you to be more mobile and take out anybody with a good surprise. There's a lot more technical tips for using cover in Gears of War with skill techniques like wall bouncing, which I'm going to be covering in a future video. Tip number 2 is talking about the right hand advantage. With Gears of War being a third person game, this means you can clearly see the whole of your character. You may notice on default the characters hold the weapons to the right, which means the game highly favours the right side. With the game designed this way, the right hand is always the advantage side. This is something you will always want to be thinking about in the back of your mind when playing the game, as it applies to near enough every situation in the game. Always try to get right hand advantage on your enemies, which you do by positioning yourself. Again, using cover, if you can get an enemy to push you on your right hand side, this will make every situation in the game that much easier. Right hand advantage is huge, so if you always keep it in your mind when playing the game, always thinking about getting right hand advantage when enemies are pushing you, you'll find everything that one step easier. Tip number 3 is use the Gnasher shotgun. Within Gears of War Ultimate Edition, it features universal loadouts, which means everybody starts off with the same 4 weapons. These include the Lancer assault rifle, Gnasher shotgun, snub pistol and smoke grenade. Both the Lancer and the snub are more supportive weapons which you would use to cover teammates who are under fire from enemies, or to get your enemies' health down as they move between cover and are at long distances away from you. The Gnasher shotgun is the weapon you should be using the majority of your time playing. This is the weapon to use in close combat when enemies are close up to you, but as well as the weapon you should be using unless it's a power weapon when pushing enemies. If you want to get better at Gears of War, use the Gnasher shotgun. Learning to use this weapon is one of the most important parts of playing Gears of War. It will take time, of course, but I'll be releasing an in-depth Gnasher tutorial video in the future to help everybody out. My next tip talking about weapons is to use the power weapons as much as possible. Power weapons are pick-up weapons scattered across the map, such as the long-shot sniper rifle, frag grenades, boom shot, a Gears-like rocket launcher and many more. You can locate power weapons by holding the LB to bring up the TAPCOM. Of course, some of the power weapons take skill to use, but this will come with playing the game over time. If you ever see power weapons on the map, you want to pick them up as quickly as possible, as it is an advantage your enemies won't have, but they are called power weapons for a reason. These certain weapons deal a lot more damage than the starting weapons do, and will allow you to get more kills than you would normally. Another huge tip is hitting active reloads. When playing Gears of War, you may notice the reloading weapon feature in this game is very unique and different, as it features active reloads which give you extra damage when reloading your weapon. When pressing RB to reload, you will notice there is a small white box. If you get your timing right by pressing RB again to finish the reload and you get the line aimed up perfectly in that small white box, this will give you extra damage for a time period, which of course will help out in this game, as you will be able to deal more damage than normal. You always will be reloading, so learning the active reloads for each weapon will help you out a lot. Finally, for my last tip is spotting enemy players. Spotting in Gears of War is activated by aiming at an enemy with the left trigger and clicking the left analog stick downwards, which will mark a small circle above enemy players. This can be seen by yourself and all of your teammates for a short period of time, which will allow your team to track an enemy, but it's also a very good way of communicating in-game without using mics. So that's it for my tips and tricks within this video, basics for beginners. I hope everybody watching this has learned something new, and what you've just learned, hopefully you put to use when playing Gears of War Ultimate Edition, and it will improve your game. Be sure to comment down below if this video was helpful. Again, just to quickly cover all of the tips covered briefly, use cover as much as possible. Remember right hand advantage when taking on enemy players. The Gnasher shotgun should be your primary weapon to use when pushing enemies and in close combat with the Lancer and snub for medium to long range. Pick up power weapons if you see ability then to help out your entire team by having that advantage, learn the active reloads to constantly get extra damage, and spot as many enemies as possible so your team can find them quicker. Gears of War is a hard game, I definitely admit it, when it comes to multiplayer. It takes time and practice to learn how to play, so be sure to give it a good chance, play with some friends and just have fun. Remember everything you learned from this video and you should find your next match online that little bit more easier. You will notice all of the tips I shared in this video should all be used together when playing. Gears of War is a lot about getting them advantages over your enemies, as you may have noticed in the gameplay shown in the video. I'm going to be releasing a lot more tips and tricks videos for Gears of War, so be sure to subscribe if you aren't already to not miss out on any future videos. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, thanks for watching, and as always, I shall see you on the next one.